Chapter 633. Meanwhile at Cloud Manor, Ling Yan's car stopped at the entrance. Ling Yan saw someone squatting at the entrance. She got out of the car and walked closer. Pei Yutong howled as he ran over. Pei Yutong howled the moment he saw Pei Yuqing beside Lin Yan. Ow! Big brother! You're finally back. When you weren't around. Sister-in-law. Sister-in-law. Instinctively, Pei Yutong wanted to complain. Lin Yan narrowed her eyes and flexed her wrists. What about me? Pei Yutong replied. Sister-in-law reads, writes, and plays chess at home every day. It's good for her. Lin Yan nodded, satisfied with his answer. Oh yeah, big brother, sister-in-law. Where did you guys come from? Isn't my brother going to be back in a few days? Pei Yutong asked curiously. Lin Yan was speechless. Kid, could you not rub salt in my wound? She had gone on a blind date, and big brother had been introduced. Was he satisfied with this answer? Pei Yutong caught sight of the silver car behind Lin Yan and exclaimed, F***CK. Who owns this shabby and ugly car? Lin Yan's face darkened. I'll give you another chance to rephrase your words. Pei Yutong replied meekly, Sister-in-law, is this your car? Lin Yan raised an eyebrow. It's my new car. Is there a problem? Pei Yutong opened the door with a look of disdain. No way. Sister-in-law, do you even know how to buy a car? Have you been scammed by someone? Isn't this lousy car a little too much? Even if you gave it to me, I wouldn't want it. Pei Yutong was about to sit in the car when Lin Yan grabbed him by the collar. She pulled him down. What are you doing? What are you doing? Do you think you can sit in the front passenger seat of your father's car? Only your big brother can sit in my car. Pei Yuqing chuckled softly. Pei Yutong was speechless as he muttered under his breath. Daddy, you've had so many hands. I wonder how many people have sat in the front passenger seat. Lin Yan was about to retort when she felt something soft rubbing against her feet. Hold on. What's that? Lin Yan lowered her head and saw an orange kitten rubbing against her feet. There's a kitten here. Lin Yan squatted down hastily. There was a 3 to 4 month old kitten by his feet. It was dirty and skinny, looking very pitiful. Pei Yutong squatted down as well and stared at the little kitten in surprise. Wow, sister-in-law. Stray cats are usually very vigilant. I didn't expect them to be so close to you. The moment Pei Yutong moved closer, the fur on the kitten's back stood on end. It huffed fiercely at Pei Yutong. Pei Yutong looked hurt. Why are you so fierce to me? The kitten hid behind Lin Yan's feet and continued to whine. Lin Yan stroked the kitten's head gently. It's so cute. Lin Yan had always been fond of small animals and had a habit of attracting cats and dogs. After she had moved here, she hadn't seen them often, perhaps because this place was too secluded. She had often been harassed by cats in her previous neighborhood. The kitten didn't have the ability to survive, and the weather was getting colder. She reckoned that it would be hard for it to survive outside. Lin Yan wanted to adopt this kitten, but it wasn't convenient for her to stay at someone else's place. Pei Yuqing, who seemed to have read Lin Yan's mind, said thoughtfully, If you want to keep it, go ahead. Chapter 634. Lin Yan's face lit up. Really? I'm afraid it won't be convenient. Pei Yuqing's gaze was gentle. Why not? Lin Yan's heart skipped a beat when she met Pei Yuqing's gentle gaze. Then, let's bring it home and see if we can find someone to adopt it. Do you want to give it a name? Asked Pei Yuqing. Sure. Let me do it. Let me think of a good name for it. I have the most experience in naming kittens. I named all the kittens and puppies that I rescued in the past. Lin Yan replied confidently. Pei Yutong looked wary when he heard that Lin Yan wanted to name the kitten. Sister-in-law, don't tell me you want to name it Get Rich again? Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yutong. Do I look like such a shallow person? Pei Yutong cast a suspicious look at her. He looked at her game name, and then at her Weibo account. Didn't she know what to do? Lin Yan studied the orange kitten in front of her and contemplated it seriously. Then she said, A 2-word or 3-word name is too ordinary. Why don't you give it a 4-word name? Pei Yutong, who hadn't expected Lin Yan to change her mind, asked hurriedly. 4 words? What name? An English name? Katerina? Alice? Alexander? Leonardo? Lin Yan pondered for some time before she snapped her fingers. Congratulations on getting rich. Pei Yutong was speechless. Lin Yin gazed at Pei Yuqing expectantly. Mr. Pei, what do you think of this name? Pei Yuqing replied, yeah, it's pretty good. Pei Yutong was speechless. Big brother, are you serious? Please have some principles. In the end, the couple agreed to name the kitten. It would be called Ashi, and its real name would be Congratulations on Getting Rich. Lin Yin and Pei Yuqing went to the pet supermarket to buy some daily necessities and food. Lin Yin was experienced in taking care of kittens, and the kitten was extremely obedient in her hands. It was unusually cooperative, even when it was bathing and trimming its nails. Thus, Ashi was settled in no time. The kitten was full, and soon, it nestled comfortably in the warm cat nest, turning its belly to take a nap. Lin Yin rubbed the kitten's tummy inside. Darling, you really know how to find a place to scam me. You're the president of JM Corporation, Pei Yuqing. You'll definitely be rich in this lifetime. Pei Yuqing couldn't help but chuckle. It's useless against me. It's smart enough to do that to my girlfriend. In other words, in terms of family status, his girlfriend was the most important. She realized that he hadn't touched the kitten at all. She was puzzled. Touch it. Its tummy is so soft. It feels so comfortable. Pei Yuqing hesitated. It will be afraid of me. Even humans were afraid of him, let alone animals. Lin Yin held his hand and stroked the kitten's body gently. No, you have my scent on you. Indeed, the kitten was wary at first. However, after sniffing his fingers, it fell back to its slumber. Pei Yutong, who was squatting next to the kitten, was speechless. He had followed Big Brother and Big Sister-in-law to the supermarket to buy pet supplies. He had watched as Big Brother and Big Sister-in-law bathed the kitten and trimmed its nails. Now he was being so obedient. He couldn't stay in this house any longer, no matter how tempted he was by the new game equipment and sound system. Pei Yutong said, Big Brother, Sister-in-law, I'm leaving. Lin Yin asked, Huh? You're still here? Pei Yutong was speechless. Those who liked You Sheng I Have You Sweet and Warm, please bookmark it. You Sheng I Have You Sweet and Warm was the most popular bar. Chapter 635. After Pei Yutong left, only Lin Yin, Pei Yuqing, and a kitten were left in the living room. Although Lin Yin had always treated Pei Yutong as though he was invisible, the atmosphere was more relaxed when he was around. Now that Pei Yutong had left, Lin Yin and Pei Yuqing were alone. Lin Yin suddenly felt that the atmosphere was a little ambiguous. Ahem. Mr. Pei, it's getting late. I'm going to bed. You should rest early too. The corners of Pei Yuqing's mouth curled into an amused smile. You're resting now? Didn't Miss Lin say? Every minute of the night is worth 1,000 pieces of gold? Lin Yin almost vomited blood. She had said that in a moment of desperation. How could he still remember that? Did he have such a good memory? Pei Yuqing asked. Miss Lin, you coaxed me back. Are you regretting it now? Lin Yin was speechless. These words, Lin Yin felt as though she was a jerk. Lin Yin coughed softly and glanced at the man. Why would I do that? It meant that every minute and second I spent with you, Mr. Pei, no matter what we did, even if we did nothing, is worth 1,000 taels of gold. Am I right? Pei Yuqing chuckled and stroked the girl's hair. Yeah, you're right. Lin Yin heaved a sigh of relief when she managed to avoid another calamity. Will tonight's incident be all right? Asked Pei Yuqing suddenly. Lin Yin replied, Are you saying that Zhong Xiaowei and Zhong Xuening will find out about our relationship? Pei Yuqing replied, Okay. Lin Yin scratched her head. I'm fine. They definitely won't tell anyone else. The sisters must hate her to death now. Why would they help her publicize the fact that she was Pei Yuqing's girlfriend? They should be hoping that no one knew about it. It's not a big deal. I just don't want people to think that you're blind. Lin Yin muttered under her breath. I don't mind, replied Pei Yuqing. He never cared about other people's opinions, because those people would never appear in front of him again. But I care. Lin Yin replied solemnly. When I earn enough money, I will buy Summit Entertainment and Triumph Entertainment. She wanted to be the most awesome female boss in the entertainment industry. Let's see who still dares to say you're blind. Other people looked for a backer, but she was different. She wanted to be a backer. Pei Yucheng raised an eyebrow. Yeah, not a bad target. Lin Yan logged on to Weibo after she returned to her room. She made a Weibo post about how she had just gotten rich. Then, for the first time, she made a post about how she had gotten rich. She posted a cute photo of Ashi bathing, and then added a caption. I picked up a kitten and named it Ashi. After she posted the message, she read the latest messages. Tomorrow morning, the ranking competition for China's racing teams would begin on time. Most of the trending news on the internet was about the ranking system. It had to be said that there were indeed many Chinese racing enthusiasts on the internet. However, if one were to put a racing car in front of him, he might not be able to boast as much as he did on the internet. After scrolling through the news for a while, Lin Yan realized that she was indeed a magnet for haters. The competition had attracted a large number of haters. Chapter 636. Netizen 778-7322. Why hasn't Lin Yan appeared recently? The competition is so important. Why hasn't she led the He family team to achieve good results? The leader of the Lady Killer group asked. Lin Yan? She's a piece of trash who only knows how to imitate others. Racing? It's no exaggeration to say that I've been a driver for 7 years. Get Lin Yan to drive the same car with the same specifications. I will give her a 1-minute head start. If she can beat me, I'll give her a hard time. Changyi replied. Lin Shuya is the one who's truly capable. She's indeed very good at racing. She's currently a member of a top team, and is planning to start her own team. Everyone can see how capable she is. Lin Yan is such a B***tch. Even if she doesn't have the ability, she will still try to flatter herself. I believe that she knows how to race and ride a car. My husband isn't home. Where are you? Lin Yan doesn't know how to race. She's just trying to create hype. Only a fool would believe that Lin Yan defeated WW. Lin Yan logged into her alternate account and started to cheer for herself. Naturally, she was met with a wave of criticism. Lin Yan wasn't bothered by the criticism. She was already used to it. She wouldn't be used to it if no one scolded her online one day. Lin Yan scrolled through some trending articles, and one of them caught her eye. The title read, How did Lin Yan get the role of Yeva? The truth is unbelievable. Lin Yan had assumed that these unscrupulous media outlets were making up stories. However, when she clicked on it, she was taken aback. There was only a screenshot of her WeChat moments, which had been posted by Lang Mang. Lang Mang typed, There's finally news from Master. He wants to personally pick the role of Yeva. Is he that bored? Lin Yan realized that Lang Mang's WeChat moments had indeed been posted on his WeChat moments. However, he didn't expect that this post would be intercepted by someone. The blissful family typed, Wow! It can't be. Does this mean that Yeva personally picked Lin Yan to play Yeva? This is 2F** King Explosive. The silly husky at home typed, Haha! Are you brainless? I'm dying of laughter. How dare you claim that it was Lang Mang who randomly posted a screenshot? Yeva was the one who chose the role. Anyone with a brain would know that it's fake. Haha. I reckon Lin Yan's team has started to make up stories to gain popularity. Is this Lang Mang's account? I've followed Guru Lang Mang's verified account overseas, and it's not this one at all. Everyone, let's form a group and flame this fake Lang Mang until his mother explodes. Lin Yan quickly changed her destination and went to Lang Mang's comments section. As expected, Lang Mang had indeed posted a status update on this alternate account. However, the comment section below the status update had been completely occupied. Lang Mang was being scolded badly. Nishidashabi, what kind of dog are you? Pretending to be Guru Lang Mang? Was Yeva the one who had chosen the role? I think your father personally chose it. Lin Yan Shichfiwa typed, They must be Lin Yan's fake reviewers. Are they trying to embarrass themselves on the internet? Do you think it's still decades ago, when everyone didn't know how to access the external network? Wawajia, are you Lang Mang? If you're Lang Mang, then I'm Yeva herself. Lin Yan scanned the messy comments section, which was filled with curses. She couldn't help but pray for Lang Mang. She hoped that he wouldn't die from anger when he read the comments. End of the chapter. Chapter 637. The next morning, Lin Yan arrived at the He family mansion early in the morning. All the members of the He family were already there. Lin Yan walked in with a huge bag of breakfast. "Goddess, you're finally here." Mo Shuyan heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Lin Yan. He had been afraid that Lin Yan would stand him up. "It's such an important event. Of course I have to come." Lin Yan grinned at Mo Shuyan. "Sister, this is my first time participating in such an important competition. I'm a little scared." He Lifeng strode over to Lin Yan. Lin Yan's eyes trailed to He Lifeng. She pondered for a moment before she turned to Mo Shuyan. "Are there any other reserve members? He looks so scared. Let's replace him." Mo Shuyan nodded eagerly and replied, Yes. I don't think this kid can make it. Although he has improved a lot after such a long period of training, it would be safer to replace him." "Don't." He Lifeng looked aggrieved. "Sister, I just wanted you to comfort me. How could you replace me so casually? I've improved a lot. You're not afraid anymore." Lin Yan glanced at He Lifeng with a raised eyebrow. He Lifeng shook his head and patted his chest with a smirk. "Afraid? What a joke. From the day I was born until the day I die, have I ever been afraid of anyone? When have I ever been afraid? The word afraid doesn't exist in my dictionary." He Lifeng. Mo Shuyan glanced at He Lifeng. "On the day you die, I will definitely push Yun Xian in his wheelchair to visit you. I will burn some joss paper for you to commemorate your fearless life." Lin Yan was speechless. Yun Xian was speechless. How are the preparations coming along? The old master, He Dingquan, pushed the door open and entered. Today was a life-and-death battle for the He family team. There couldn't be any mistakes. Even if they were to lose, they had to lose beautifully. "Everything is ready," replied Mo Shuyan. The old master, He Dingquan, nodded and scanned the room solemnly. "Everyone has worked hard recently. Do you have any confidence in today's competition?" "No." All of them answered in unison. He Dingquan was speechless, Lin Yan was speechless. "Old master, let alone them. Even I don't have confidence in this battle." Mo Shuyan turned to He Dingquan and said thoughtfully, "It all depends on our luck. If our luck isn't good, we might fail at any time." He Dingquan was well aware of the situation, even without Mo Shuyan's explanation. Having run the team for so many years, He Dingquan knew the state of the Chinese team better than anyone else. Currently, the situation of China's racing teams was very complicated. There were countless mid-level and high-level racing teams. Apart from the middle and high-level teams, there were also first-rate and top-notch teams. Starting from the high-level teams, they were like wolves and tigers, and the strength of their teams was unfathomable. Even though Mo Shuyan was leading the He family team, he was the only one who could carry the team's weight. Even though Mo Shuyan had recruited a lot of fresh blood for the He family team, they hadn't had enough time to get used to each other. As a result, they were still a far cry from the top teams. End of chapter. Chapter 638. There were too many high-level teams, top teams, and even top teams participating in the competition. The He family team was insignificant among them. Just as Mo Shuyan had said, they had to rely on luck to participate in the competition. If they were unlucky and met a team with a higher level, the He family team would have lost before the competition had even begun. Even the captain, Mo Shuyan, didn't have much confidence. Whether they would win or lose, it wouldn't depend on their abilities. Luck would decide the outcome. To put it bluntly, our team isn't strong enough. One of the team members spoke up. Mo Shuyan didn't comment further, as this was an undeniable fact. It took a long time for a team to get used to each other and train. The He family team had only been reorganized for a short period of time, so they couldn't keep up with the training. Even so, Mo Shuyan was confident that he would be able to win against a mid-tier team. However, if they were unlucky and encountered a top team, it would be troublesome. Besides, high-level teams weren't the most important. There were elite teams, and even top-notch teams. It would be a nightmare for the He family team if they were to meet them. "What are you afraid of?" Lin Yan, who had been silent all this while, chuckled softly. All the team members turned to look at Lin Yan. "Sister Yan, you might not understand. If we meet a top team, there's no point in competing. We will definitely lose. One of the team members told Lin Yan. Yun Xian, who was at the side, also fell silent. He had trained hard for a long time for this competition, but if they were to really meet a first-rate team of a higher level, there was indeed no hope of victory. Regardless of whether we win or lose, we have to compete. Who cares? Let's have breakfast first. He Lufeng muttered under his breath before he turned around to have breakfast. Many of the team members followed Lin Yan and swept away the food she had bought. Mo Shuyan walked over to Lin Yan and asked softly, "Goddess, are you going to be a cheerleader or compete?" Lin Yan was startled when she heard that. Cheerleader? Which part of him thought that she was a cheerleader? If I were to be a cheerleader, would I be able to meet a top team? Lin Yan glanced at Mo Shuyan. Mo Shuyan. Goddess, I know you're good, but there are too many teams that can easily crush WW. Even if you were to go against them, you wouldn't stand a chance, Mo Shuyan sighed. Lin Yan glanced at Mo Shuyan. According to the rules of the competition, the team members had to be selected. If she was unlucky and didn't get selected, there would be nothing she could do. However, if she was selected, it would be a different story. Actually, even Lin Yan didn't have much confidence in the competition system in the country. Just as Mo Shuyan and the others were worried, if the He family team was unlucky enough to be matched against a high-level team, and Lin Yan wasn't chosen, the He family team would have no choice but to suffer a beating. Lin Yan wouldn't be able to do anything about it. End of chapter. Chapter 639. The rules of the competition were set in stone. Neither Lin Yan nor Mo Shuyan had the power to change them. Thus, they had no choice but to accept it. No matter how serious the situation was, they had no choice but to carry on without complaint. Miss Lin Yan, don't worry. We will do our best to show you the true charm of racing. One of the He family members chuckled softly as he gazed at Lin Yan. Haha, what do you mean by that? The young man's eyes darted to Lin Yan with disdain. However, he was all smiles. What do you mean by don't worry, Miss Lin? Are you really going to let Miss Lin be a cheerleader? Miss Lin Yan is Lin Shuya's sister. Lin Shuya is talented, so I'm sure Miss Lin Yan isn't weak either. Don't forget that Miss Lin Yan defeated WW on her own. Who knows, she might be on par with Mo Shuyan. Some of the He family members present furrowed their brows when they heard the young man's words. They had been with the He family team for some time. Although some of them didn't pay attention to the entertainment industry, they knew that Lin Yan was a special member of the He family team. Hence, many of them had taken the time to find out more about her. After reading about Lin Yan on the internet, many members of the He family had a terrible impression of her. Most of them had joined the He family team because of Mo Shuyan. If it hadn't been for Mo Shuyan's reputation, they wouldn't have joined a small team like the He family team. Many of the team members had started to wonder why a professional racer like Mo Shuyan would join a small team like the He family, which could disband at any time. However, after learning more about Lin Yan, some of them were certain that Lin Yan and Mo Shuyan had something going on. They had even seduced Mo Shuyan. A few days ago, Lin Yan's uncle, He Xiong, and cousin He Mingkai had invited them to dinner. They had made it clear that Lin Yan knew nothing about racing, and that Mo Shuyan had managed to join the He family team because Lin Yan had seduced him. In other words, Lin Yan had seduced Mo Shuyan. After hearing this news, most of the members of the He family team despised Lin Yan. They even felt disgusted by her. Unfortunately, they had signed a one-year contract with the He family team, so they couldn't leave even if they wanted to. Li Tao, what are you talking about? It's a fact that Miss Lin defeated WW. Do you really think that Miss Lin relied on her looks to make the WW captain go easy on her? After all, Miss Lin is a public figure. She wouldn't use herself to make a deal with the WW captain. He Lufeng's face darkened as he glared at Li Tao and the rest. What do you mean? Hearing that, the young man Li Tao smiled faintly. Nothing much, it's just the literal meaning. We didn't say anything and Miss Lin doesn't even care. So why are you so anxious? Before He Lufeng could reply, another team member chimed in. Miss Lin Yan definitely wouldn't care. She's experienced. Mo Shuyan frowned and said, If you have something to say, just say it. Who do you think you're giving face to? Chapter 640. Captain Mo, we joined the He family team because of you. However, we are also normal people with normal values. We don't care what your relationship with Miss Lin is, or how you joined the He family team. We are all men. We can understand. But, if you don't know anything about racing, then just be a spectator. Don't point fingers and talk so much. Which of the brothers here can't be Miss Lin's grandmaster? To be honest, Captain Mo, if I had known about Miss Lin's relationship with the He family team, I wouldn't have joined them. I wouldn't have signed the contract either. Li Tao glanced at Mo Shuyan. Captain Mo, you're my idol. And so is WW's captain. I don't have to tell you how powerful WW's captain is. Do you think that Lin Yin can defeat him? Of course, it's true that Miss Lin Yin beat WW. However, why did WW lose? Why did WW's captain go easy on her? Miss Lin Yin snatched her sister's fiancé and seduced all sorts of men in the entertainment industry. She has created countless scandals and scandals. It would be easy for her to win over Captain Mo and WW's captain. I don't have anything against the He family team. I just don't like Miss Lin Yan's character. I follow all of Miss Lin Shia's works and I'm her fan. Miss Lin Shia treats her so well, yet she snatched the role of Lin Shia's wife. I admire her. That's enough. He Lufeng bellowed angrily. Are you saying that my cousin is just a pretty face? My cousin can outrun you with just one hand. Beat us. The corners of Li Tao's mouth curled up as he glanced at Lin Yin in disdain. All right then. I will give her a 5-second head start. I don't need her to beat me. I just need her to catch up with me. Then, I will kneel and apologize to her. How about that? All right, you said it. He Lufeng clenched his fists and turned to Lin Yin. Sister, follow him. Lin Yin acted as though she hadn't heard him. She whipped out her phone to check the time. Shuyan, it's about time. Let's go. Some of the members of the He family guffawed at Lin Yin. If you don't even dare to run, how can you say that you can beat WW? It had to be said that Lin Yin was really a wily old fox. She wouldn't even respond to something that was disadvantageous to her. Mo Shuyan glanced at Lin Yin curiously. Goddess, aren't you angry? Angry? Lin Yin was startled. Those team members, Mo Shuyan said. After all, those people's words were indeed a bit too unpleasant to hear. Oh, you mean that? Lin Yin grinned. What's there to be angry about? Wouldn't I die of anger if I get angry over these things every day? Lin Yin didn't think that the team members had gone overboard. Compared to the haters online, they were nothing. She didn't feel anything when it came to the haters online, let alone these members. Mo Shuyan glanced at Lin Yin in astonishment before he gave her a thumbs up. Goddess, you're so magnanimous. Lin Yin smiled faintly, looking nonchalant. As the saying went, the Prime Minister had a big heart. If it weren't for the fact that she had to rely on her teammates, she would have flipped out and smashed their skulls. Update is over. Begging for monthly votes and recommendation votes. End of chapter. Chapter 641. Half an hour later, the He family team arrived at the venue. There were still about 2 hours before the start of the ranking competition. Currently, the venue was already packed with people. The competition was considered an unprecedented event in the racing industry in the country. It was considered a rare large-scale competition, other than the Ultimate Arena, which was the most sacred competition in China. The ranking system was already considered the pinnacle of competitions. Even so, many of the smaller teams were frowning and praying silently that they wouldn't be matched against the top teams. In a competition like this, not to mention mid-level teams and beginner teams, even high-level racing teams could only be cannon fodder. The He family team surveyed their surroundings curiously as they entered the venue. Although some of the young members of the He family team were talented, none of them had ever participated in such a large-scale competition. Even Mo Shuyan couldn't help but glance around. Are you confident? Lin Yin asked Mo Shuyan. Mo Shuyan retracted his gaze and glanced at Lin Yin. He shook his head and replied, Of course not. Lin Yin was speechless. Goddess, are you confident? Mo Shuyan pressed on before Lin Yin could speak. Lin Yin shook her head at Mo Shuyan. Of course she wasn't confident. However, she wasn't worried about the top teams. She wasn't confident that she would be the one to compete. There's nothing I can do about it. Mo Shuyan sighed heavily. In Mo Shuyan's opinion, no matter how good Lin Yin was, she would only be able to compete with a top team like WW. However, WW would be insignificant in a competition like this. Most importantly, it was uncertain whether they would be able to get Lin Yin to compete. If they were lucky enough to get Lin Yin, the He family team might stand a chance. However, if they were unlucky and didn't get Lin Yin, that would be an entirely different matter. Of course, not getting Lin Yin wouldn't be the worst outcome. The last thing Mo Shuyan wanted was for the He family team to compete with the top teams. If that happened, it would be meaningless even if they got Lin Yin to compete. Goddess, what do you think you should do if you don't get Lin Yin? Mo Shuyan stroked his chin as he asked Lin Yin. Lin Yin glanced at Mo Shuyan. I'll have to rely on you guys then. Mo Shuyan was speechless. They can't be trusted. Aren't you worried at all? Mo Shuyan was perplexed by Lin Yan's composure. Lin Yin chuckled softly. It's useless to worry. These are the rules. You're right. Mo Shuyan sighed helplessly. The new rules didn't have much of an impact on the top teams. In fact, some of the top teams might even have a chance to make a name for themselves. However, it was a nightmare for the middle teams and the He family teams. Of course, rich teams and rich teams weren't the only exceptions. In this short period of time, Mo Shuyan had already seen many familiar faces. A complicated expression flashed in his eyes, but it quickly disappeared. Daddy! Lin Yin was about to head to the venue with Mo Shuyan when Pei Yutong appeared behind her. Lin Yin turned around and glanced at Pei Yutong. End of chapter. Chapter 642. Pei Yutong wasn't alone. There was a young man in a red uniform beside him. The man's eyes scanned Lin Yin unabashedly. His eyes were filled with disgust and disdain. Boss, is this the famous Miss Lin Yin? Is she your friend who is good at racing? The man asked Pei Yutong. Pei Yutong nodded. Yeah. Oh. The man revealed a meaningful expression, and then lightly nodded. Daddy, are you going to race? Pei Yutong glanced at Lin Yin anxiously. I'm a member of the He family team. Of course I will race, replied Lin Yin. Pei Yutong was speechless previously. He had thought that it would be great if his team could compete with the He family team. However, Pei Yutong had never imagined that Lin Yin would race as well. Daddy, Pei Yutong grinned at Lin Yin. What if the He family team meets mine? Daddy, you have to be merciful. Be merciful? The man in the red uniform frowned when he heard Pei Yutong. Did his boss really think that Lin Yin was that capable? Why would he need to be merciful? I saw that we are in the same team, and there is a high chance that we will meet. Daddy, don't be so cruel. Pei Yutong replied. Even if we meet, I might not be chosen. Lin Yin sighed heavily. The corners of the man's mouth curled up into a smirk of disdain. This woman must be hoping that she wouldn't be chosen. Perhaps this woman had already made some kind of deal and had some unknown inside information that prevented her from being picked to go on stage. Otherwise, the woman's image of a strong racer would crumble the moment she stepped onto the stage. Let me introduce you. Pei Yutong grinned at Lin Yin and pointed at the man beside him. This is our captain Wu Yong. Is he the racer that you hired? Lin Yin asked curiously. Yeah. Pei Yutong nodded eagerly. That's him. If you're picked to go on stage, you must show mercy. Daddy, if you promise me, I will reveal something important about my brother to you. Pei Yutong stared at Lin Yin guiltily. Pei Yutong had made some calculations. The possibility of his team clashing with the He family team was too high. If Lin Yin didn't compete, the He family team would definitely lose. However, if Lin Yin was chosen, his team would be crushed. Important news? What important news could you possibly have? Lin Yin was doubtful. Pei Yutong whispered into her ear mysteriously. Do you know when my big brother's birthday is? Lin Yin mulled it over. I only know that second brother's birthday is on June 25th. He's a Cancer. Pei Yutong looked wary. Sister Yen, why do you know my second brother's birthday better than my big brother's? Lin Yin rolled her eyes at him. Stop your nonsense. As a girl who follows her idol, it's normal for her to know his birthday and horoscope. So, when is your big brother's birthday? It can't be this month, right? Yeah. Sister Yen, do you know about it? My big brother's birthday is on November 22nd. It's next week. Sister Yen, you can prepare a surprise for my big brother next week. Pei Yutong reminded her excitedly. Lin Yin patted her chest. November 22nd? Isn't that a Scorpio? As expected of a big shot, he was indeed a Scorpio. Another 2 chapters, moi hi hi oh. Asterisk, asterisk. Mr. Pei is a Cancer and Mr. Pei is a Scorpio. Guess what Sister Yan's birthday and horoscope are? End of this chapter. Chapter 643. As a girlfriend, it would be inappropriate for her to not know her boyfriend's birthday. Fortunately, Pei Yutong had reminded her that she should prepare a present for him. Okay, thanks for the reminder. Lin Yin nodded. Oh yeah, Sister Yen. When is your birthday? Pei Yutong asked curiously. I read online that your birthday is in May. Lin Yin nodded. It's 518. Isn't it easy to remember? Pei Yutong quipped. May 18th. Sister Yen, are you a Taurus? Lin Yin asked. What's wrong? Pei Yutong coughed softly. No, nothing. A Taurus is good. Not only was it 518, but it was also a Taurus who loved money. He was indeed his father. Sister Yen, why didn't you ask me when my birthday is? Pei Yutong asked eagerly. Lin Yin glanced at him. I don't want to know. If I knew, I would have to prepare another birthday present every year. Pei Yutong's face darkened as he huffed angrily. I'm a Leo on July 29th. My guardian star is the sun, which is the symbol of light. It is helpful and believes in justice. It represents the sun and destroys all dark forces. It has the spirit of a leader, and is a very trustworthy constellation. Lin Yin was taken aback. Wow. No way. You're a Leo? I thought you were a husky. Pei Yutong was speechless. Pei Yutong clasped his hands together and said, Daddy, how is it? For the sake of me helping you and Big Brother so diligently and responsibly, I'm begging you, when it's Dad's birthday, I'll definitely give you a big present. If I'm chosen, I will try my best. Lin Yin sighed heavily. She could let Pei Yutong win once without affecting the He family team's advancement. Try your best? Wu Yong's eyes gleamed with disdain when he heard Lin Yin. He composed himself and grinned at Lin Yin. Miss Lin Yin, I don't think you'll be chosen. If you are. Wu Yong grinned before Lin Yin could finish her sentence. Of course, if you are chosen, you don't have to show any mercy. Just try your best to chase after me. Pei Yutong glanced at Wu Yong. Wasn't this kid a little too arrogant? Pei Yutong knew that Wu Yong was indeed very capable. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spent so much money to hire him. However, compared to Lin Yin, he was still lacking. However, Wu Yong was a racer that Pei Yutong had hired with a hefty sum of money. Even if he was a little arrogant, Pei Yutong couldn't dampen his enthusiasm. Even if Wu Yong didn't like Yeva, Pei Yutong wouldn't put him down. Instead, he would give him encouragement and love. Dad, in any case, if you meet him, you must know your limits. Pei Yutong strode over to Lin Yin with a worried look on his face. Daddy, I've used up all my money. I'm really broke. If I lose the competition and can't find a sponsor, I'm afraid my team won't be able to hold on for long. Lin Yin glanced at him. What was the point of telling her? She didn't have money, so she could go to her big brother. To protest, to fight. To take back her financial power. Hadn't he been so arrogant earlier on? He had said that even if Pei Yuqing knew that he was a racer, he couldn't do anything to him. Why was he crying about being poor now? Chapter 644. Let's get ready. Pei Yutong chuckled softly when Lin Yin remained silent. After Pei Yutong and Wu Yong left, Mo Shuyan asked curiously, Goddess, who was that man? Why did he call you daddy? Are you close? Which team is he from? Lin Yan glanced at Emo Shuyan. Did you change your profession? Emo Shuyan grinned. I'm just concerned about my goddess. Besides, there are so many perverts nowadays. He even called you daddy. How perverted and dangerous. Lin Yan was speechless. Lin Yan, Emo Shuyan, and the He family team entered the venue. The He family team changed into their uniforms, including He Dinkuan. Captain, don't we have a strategy? He Lufeng glanced at Emo Shuyan, who had his head lowered in silence. Captain, He Lufeng pressed on when he noticed that Emo Shuyan seemed distracted. Emo Shuyan snapped back to his senses and glanced at He Lufeng. What's wrong? He Lufeng was speechless. Captain, I just asked you if we have any tactics. He Lufeng grinned. Oh. Emo Shuyan nodded and replied. No. Captain, this is an important competition. Don't we need a strategy? As the saying goes, there's nothing too deceitful in war. He Lufeng muttered to himself. Emo Shuyan stared at He Lufeng, as though he was looking at an idiot. You still want to run? If you're lucky, you can just run if you meet a team that's not good enough. However, if you meet a team that's not good enough, it's useless even if you've studied the art of war since you were in your mother's womb. In the face of absolute power, all strategies are useless. Goddess, am I right? Emo Shuyan grinned at Lin Yan. Many of the team members sneered coldly. It seemed like Lin Yan's cousin and uncle were right. Emo Shuyan and Lin Yan had an unspeakable relationship, as he kept referring to her as a goddess. Emo Shuyan used to be a famous racer, so his racing skills were unquestionable. What did Lin Yan know? Why did he need to ask her? As the saying went, even heroes had a weakness for the charms of a beautiful woman. She must have seduced countless men in the past. Wouldn't it be easy for her to deal with Emo Shuyan? Otherwise, with Emo Shuyan's strength, why would he join a small team that could disband at any time? Let's check the vehicle. Lin Yan glanced at Emo Shuyan as she spoke. All the teams had their own cars. Unless they had a rich sponsor, a beginner team's racing car couldn't compare to a high-level racing team's racing car. Its performance was no longer up to par, so it had to be checked before the race to prevent any problems from occurring. I've already checked them. I wouldn't dare to neglect them. Emo Shuyan grinned at Lin Yan as he held a list in his hand. Goddess, the officials have just given us a list. The He family team is in Group C. I don't think it's as bad as we thought. It's mainly made up of beginner and intermediate teams. There are also 3 high-level teams and 2 top teams, replied Emo Shuyan. Before Lin Yan could respond, Emo Shuyan added, we have to pay special attention to one of the high-level teams. It's a team under K1. To ensure that this team has a good ranking, they even transferred the only female captain of K1, Su Kai, over. Chapter 645. Lin Yan fell into deep thought. She had some recollection of the female captain of K1, Su Kai. When Lin Shuya had invited the imposter, the female captain of K1, Su Kai, had also been invited. Lin Yan didn't think too much about it, as she took the list from Emo Shuyan. Storm. Lin Yan was puzzled as she read the name of the team. She felt as though she had heard it somewhere before. Lin Yan pondered for a moment before she recalled that Pei Yutong's team was called Storm. No wonder Pei Yutong had been begging her to go easy on him. Based on the ranking in Category C, there was a high chance that the He family team would meet Pei Yutong's Storm team. Other than Storm, another team under K1 had caught Lin Yan's attention. It was K2. This team was an advanced team, and it was one of K1's teams. Because of the competition, K1 had sent their female captain, Su Kai, to lead the team. Other than K2, Lin Yan realized that there were 2 other top teams. They were chasing Light and Lightning. These 2 teams were established teams in the country. WW couldn't compare to them in terms of experience and capability. Sigh. Emo Shuyan sighed and said, even though there are many amateur and intermediate teams, there are also high-level and top-notch teams. To us, Category C is a group of death. If we meet a high-level team or a top-notch team, Emo Shuyan didn't think it would be a problem if they met a high-level team. After all, Lin Yan might be able to compete with them. However, if they met Lightning and Chasing Light, they would be beaten to a pulp. K2 was also a tough nut to crack. After all, the captain of K1 couldn't be compared to a high-level team. What do you think? Lin Yan asked curiously when Emo Shiyan hesitated. The corners of Emo Shiyan's mouth twitched as he glanced at Lin Yan. I feel sorry for myself. I just joined a new team, but I already have to face so many strong opponents. The He family team is really toxic. Lin Yan was speechless. How could the He family team be toxic? Wasn't Emo Shiyan the toxic one? The moment he had joined the He family team, he had met with such trouble. An hour later, the competition began. The VIP seats were already overcrowded. Qi Xiaoyuan, Wei Xufeng, and the others naturally wouldn't miss it. They had arrived early and had been waiting for the entire morning. Is that Lin Yan? Wei Xufeng peered down from the VIP seats and saw the He family team, including Lin Yan. Where? Qi Xiaoyuan quickly stood up and looked around. Why are you so agitated? Wei Xufeng glanced at Qi Xiaoyuan with an odd expression on his face. When Qi Xiaoyuan had been invited to a private banquet, Wei Xufeng had noticed that Qi Xiaoyuan had stood up for Lin Yan. What do you mean? I'm not excited. Nonsense. Qi Xiaoyuan glanced at Wei Xufeng. Lin Yan and you. Wei Xufeng gazed at Qi Xiaoyuan meaningfully. Is there a relationship? No. Qi Xiaoyuan shook his head. However, there was still a relationship between an idol and a fan. As for a deeper relationship, he wanted to. But the problem was that he didn't dare to. How could he have other thoughts about his boss? He was just a child. Chapter 646. That would be for the best. Lin Yan is a scheming person. I advise you to stay away from her. Wei Xufeng quipped. Lunatic, are you here to watch the competition or to talk about women? Qi Xiaoyuan frowned. Qi Xiaoyuan shrugged and replied. I'm just curious. Lin Yan actually came to the competition with the He family team. Would it be awkward if she was picked to compete? Awkward? Qi Xiaoyuan sneered coldly. Of course not. Wei Xufeng mulled it over. You're right. After all, this team is on the verge of disbanding. Before Wei Xufeng could finish his sentence, he noticed Emo Shiyan standing beside Lin Yan. Emo Shiyan? Wei Xufeng was startled. Emo Shiyan was standing beside Lin Yan. He was wearing the He family team's uniform, so he was obviously one of them. Emo Shiyan has joined the He family team? How is that possible? Wei Xufeng was in disbelief. Although Emo Shiyan wasn't the best racer in the country, he was a well-known racer. Why would he abandon a top team and join a team that was on the verge of disbanding? I didn't expect the news to be true. Wei Xufeng muttered to himself. A few days ago, Wei Xufeng had read an unreliable piece of news online. It was about a famous racer who had joined the He family team because of Lin Yan. In order to protect the He family team and improve her image, Lin Yan had made a deal with Emo Shiyan to get him to join the He family team. Wei Xufeng had no idea who the source of the news was, so he hadn't believed it. He had never imagined that he would meet Emo Shiyan in the He family team today. Furthermore, Emo Shiyan was wearing the He family team's uniform. It seemed that the news on the internet was not groundless. It was fabricated for the sake of traffic. Wei Xufeng didn't even realize that his eyes were filled with disgust as he gazed at Lin Yan. A woman like her was willing to pay any price to improve her image and reputation. If she didn't have the ability, why would she want to portray herself as a racer? In order to prevent his public image from collapsing, he didn't hesitate to use himself in exchange. I'm looking forward to Lin Yan being picked. Qi Xiaoyuan chuckled softly. He was picked to fight. Wei Xufeng glanced at Qi Xiaoyuan and sneered coldly. I'm afraid that your hopes will be dashed. Why? Qi Xiaoyuan was confused. Let me bet with you that Lin Yan will never be chosen. Even if she is chosen, she won't compete, replied Wei Xufeng softly. Wei Xufeng wasn't sure if Lin Yan had managed to bribe the person in charge. Hence, there were only two possible outcomes. Firstly, Lin Yan had bribed the person who had chosen her. Hence, there was no way she would be selected. Once she was selected, her image as a racer would crumble instantly. Second, this competition had to be fair. Lin Yan might still be selected, but she would definitely find all sorts of excuses to avoid the competition. Of course, there could be a third outcome. Lin Yin had been picked, so she had gritted her teeth and fought. In the end, she had been crushed. Chapter 647. Qi Xiaoyuan listened quietly to Wei Shifeng's words and sighed. What was wrong with this kid's brain? Why was he so pessimistic? Actually, everything wasn't that complicated. Lin Yin hadn't purposely set up an image. She was just a good racer. Should he try to find out more about Yeva? However, he couldn't blame Wei Shifeng. If he hadn't stumbled upon Lin Yan's identity, he wouldn't have believed that Lin Yan was Yeva. Actually, he wouldn't have even thought about it. Although Qi Xiaoyuan had no idea what was going on, he knew that ever since Boss had entered the entertainment industry, her reputation had been terrible. The internet had been full of hateful comments. Qi Xiaoyuan could only sigh inwardly. Wei Shifeng was too pitiful. If he were to find out the truth one day and find out that Yeva was Lin Yan, would he kill himself with a piece of tofu? Although Qi Xiaoyuan wanted to tell Lin Yan the truth, he had promised Lin Yan that he wouldn't divulge a single word. Although he was anxious, there was nothing he could do. All he could do was hope that Lin Yan would be chosen to compete. He wanted Wei Shifeng to see if Lin Yan was truly an expert racer. Lunatic, do you think that there was a problem with Lin Yan beating WW? Qi Xiaoyuan glanced at Wei Shifeng as he tried to change the topic. Wei Shifeng replied calmly, "Isn't that obvious? For example, if I won against WW, would you think that I won because of my skills? Then you must have cheated," Qi Xiaoyuan blurted out unconsciously. Wei Shifeng replied, "Although you're right, I still feel that you're looking down on me." The corners of Qi Xiaoyuan's mouth curled up into a smile. "Be more confident. Get rid of that feeling. I'm looking down on you." Wei Shifeng was speechless. Qi Xiaoyuan pressed on. "I won't talk about other competitions and other events. If you say that I cheated, then I will. However, do you think that I would cheat in a competition like this?" Wei Shifeng shook his head without hesitation. "That's impossible. This is a competition that all the teams in the country will participate in. This competition concerns the future of every team. It can't be cheated. As long as you admit it." Qi Xiaoyuan looked relieved. What Qi Xiaoyuan was afraid of the most was that when Boss was chosen to go up on stage and win the match, this brat would accuse Boss of cheating again. Hence, Qi Xiaoyuan had given Wei Shifeng a warning shot in advance. He had asked Wei Shifeng to say that there was no way he would cheat in such an event. That way, if Boss was chosen and they won the competition, Wei Shifeng would have nothing to say. "Boss idol goddess, you must be chosen." Qi Xiaoyuan prayed inwardly. He didn't have any other intentions. He just wanted to see Wei Shifeng get slapped in the face. It would be best if his teeth were knocked out. About 40 minutes later, all the media reporters in the stadium were ready, including the commentator of the stadium. The time limit for this ranking match was 3 days. Within 3 days, all the matches had to be finished. Because there were too many racing teams, it was unrealistic to finish the competition in a short amount of time. During this time, the teams that weren't selected to compete couldn't leave either. They could only wait in the preparation area. Chapter 648. The arena was divided into 3 divisions and groups, namely Group A, Group B, and Group C. The He family team was assigned to Group C. Group A, Group B, and Group C were ranked in descending order of strength. Group A was the strongest, followed by Group B, and Group C was the weakest. Of course, this was only relatively speaking. For example, there were top racing teams in Group A, while the top teams in Group B were slightly weaker. As for Group C, there were only first-rate racing teams, and they weren't really at the top. This sort of strong and weak division was only meaningful to those peak battle teams. As for the advanced battle teams, intermediate battle teams, and beginner battle teams, it was meaningless. They were all in the group of death. Of course, none of this mattered to Lin Yan. Lin Yan, and Mo Shuyan, and the others waited until their hair had turned white. The competition finally began. Group C, which was the He family team, was the first to compete. The two teams that had entered the competition were both small teams. Oh, we are so unlucky. Why can't it be us? Xian's heart ached. I want to compete with a small team too. Lin Yan was speechless. He was really ambitious. Look, they are both small teams. Why are they so lucky? It's all about their abilities. Xian quipped. Captain, don't worry. We might meet the storm team. He Lifeng interjected after a moment. Xian's eyes lit up at He Lifeng's words. He Lifeng was right. Based on Storm's ranking, there was a high chance that they would meet. To the storm team, this was simply giving them free points. Oh, that's not right. I heard that Storm has a new captain. He's not bad. If we meet their captain, we might lose. He Lifeng mulled it over. Can you give us some hope? Xian glanced at He Lifeng. Captain, if you know yourself and your enemy, you will emerge victorious. We have to analyze the situation objectively. He Lifeng grinned. I know that if you know yourself and your enemy, you will emerge victorious. But what were you doing earlier? The competition has already begun. Why are you only saying that now? Xian sighed helplessly. Lin Yan's eyes were glued to the arena as she watched the two teams collide. Seconds later, Lin Yan rubbed her eyes. She felt that her eyes had been insulted. Were the two teams playing house? They were so much weaker than the He family team. He had to admit that it was not without reason that he was assigned to Group C. In other words, the more teams like them there were, the better. The weaker they were, the greater the hope of the He family team. At the very least, even if he wasn't chosen, the He family team would still be able to win easily. There was no doubt about it. Sister, those two teams are so weak. I can do it too. He Lifeng glanced at Lin Yan. Lin Yan glanced at He Lifeng. Lin Yan wasn't sure how much He Lifeng's skills had improved after so many days of training with Xian. However, in the past, he wouldn't have been able to beat him. During the competition, the He family team couldn't leave. Hence, they had to stay and watch the competition. Lin Yan felt drowsy after watching the competition. Chapter 649. After a nap, Lin Yan realized that the competition between the two teams had finally ended. There was almost no gap between the two beginner teams. After the winner was decided, the next match began simultaneously. The next team is Storm. In the arena, the relevant staff announced. Lin Yan's interest was piqued. Pei Yutong's team was finally competing. Lin Yan, He Lifeng, and Xian's eyes lit up as well. Picking us is like giving away free points. Xian looked excited. You have to pick us. It'd be best if Storm picked us for all three competitions. However, He Lifeng and Xian were disappointed. Storm's opponent wasn't the He family team. It's Storm. Lin Yan laughed so hard that she almost cried when she saw Storm's opponent. The Wind Chaser team was the top team in Category C. Pei Yutong was really unlucky. He was really unlucky. Lin Yan could even imagine the expression on Pei Yutong's face. Pei Yutong shook hands with Storm's boss with a dark expression on his face. Then he strode away without looking back. It seemed like Pei Yutong's nickname of Little Prince wasn't baseless. The most tragic thing was that Storm hadn't picked the team leader that Pei Yutong had hired. There was no suspense at all. Storm had lost the race tragically. Even Lin Yan couldn't bear to watch the battle. Pei Yutong was exasperated. I feel like I'm being targeted by the world. Why is it Storm? If you're Storm, go ahead and chase it. Yeah, boss. We're being targeted by the world. Why did we have to meet a top team? Storm isn't Storm. Why are they chasing us? Aren't we Storm? One of the team members glanced at Pei Yutong cautiously. Storm. They caught up with us. Pei Yutong glared at the team member coldly. You're fired. The team member was speechless. After the winner of the competition between Storm and Storm was decided, the next competition proceeded as usual. NG team versus the He family team. Xian's face was filled with excitement as he clasped his hands together. God bless us. We won the first battle. Team NG was also a beginner team. Moreover, it was a beginner team that had only been established for a few months. In Xian's eyes, they were even more useless than Storm. Soon, The selected team members went on stage one after another. The He family team selected Yun Xian, He Lufeng, and the other two members. Good luck. Lin Yan grinned at He Lufeng and Yun Xian. Sister, don't worry. Yun Xian raised his head and whispered softly. Before the competition started, NG's boss shook He Dinkuan's hand with a black face. Soon the competition began. He Lufeng was the first to enter the arena. Something had happened to him during the competition. He had paused for a few seconds and had been KO'd. They relied on Yun Xian and another team member to pull back the score and win the round. After the competition ended, He Lufeng returned to the arena awkwardly. Can you do it? Mo Xian glanced at He Lufeng. It was purely an accident. He Lufeng looked embarrassed. Chapter 650. No matter what, they had managed to win the first round. She had to admit that the He family team was rather lucky. The next few matches were quite interesting. Team Windchaser went up against Team Lightning. These two teams were top teams in the country. At the very least, Lin Yan wouldn't fall asleep watching them. As the competition between the two teams in Category C began, the audience cheered louder and louder. For the audience, the most interesting and anticipated teams in Group C were the Windchaser and Lightning battle teams. No one had expected that these two great battle teams would clash in such a short period of time. The early arrival of the exciting battle had caused many to be extremely excited. However, to everyone's surprise, the Lightning battle team defeated the Wind-chasing battle team in an unstoppable manner. The Wind-chasing battle team, which was also one of the powerhouses, did not manage to obtain a single point in the battle against the Lightning battle team. After the competition ended, there was no longer any anticipation for the competition in Group C. In a sense, the Lightning battle team was already number 1 in Group C, and Wind was number 2. As for the other teams in Group C, it didn't matter anymore. They were just cannon fodder. The competition continued after the two teams had ended. The next round is Windchaser. The staff began to draw the teams. When he saw Windchaser's opponent, he smiled awkwardly. Windchaser versus Windchaser. Pei Yutong almost fainted when he heard that. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. This was fate. She hadn't earned the title of Little Prince for nothing. Every team had 3 rounds in the preliminary round, yet Pei Yutong's team had met Windchaser twice. Lin Yan couldn't bear to watch the competition, so she decided to take a nap. By the time she woke up, the competition had ended. Pei Yutong wanted to cry, but no tears would come. He was really unlucky. Boss, we met Windchaser twice. There's nothing we can do. The difference in ability is too great. One of the team members sighed heavily. Pei Yutong gritted his teeth. I want to change the team's name to Windchaser. Boss, why don't we change the name to Windchaser? What if we meet Lightning in the next round? Another team member suggested. Pei Yutong bellowed. Then we should call it Windchaser. You're fired. A certain team member. How about Dodging Wind and Lightning battle team? Pei Yutong replied. I'm a team that avoids the entire game, alright? You're fired too. The Storm battle team had lost 2 matches in a row. If they lost another match, there was basically no suspense. They would be directly eliminated. He family team. Storm team, please get ready. Ha 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 ha. On the preparation stage, Mo Xian was laughing so hard that his face was cramping up. The heavens had opened their eyes. They were in the same group as the Storm battle team. Even their luck was too good. We're going to win 2 matches in a row. Storm is just a team that's going to give us free points. Let's work harder and send Storm away. Mo Xian said with a smile. The members of the Storm battle team are Wu Yong, Zhang He and Wang Sun. The He family team consists of He Lufeng, Li Tao, and Lin Yan. Qi Xiaoyuan yelled excitedly. Lunatic, it's Lin Yan's turn. Chapter 651. Wei Shufeng looked puzzled. Logically speaking, Lin Yan shouldn't have been chosen. Pei Yutong's eyes had sparkled when he had heard that they would be competing against the He family team. When he had heard that Wu Yong had been chosen, his eyes had lit up even more. So this round their storm battle team was finally going to win. When he heard that the He family team had chosen Lin Yan, Pei Yutong's eyes darkened, and he almost fainted on the spot. From now on, Storm will be called the Dodging Daddy team. Pei Yutong felt as though his heart was being torn apart. Soon Lin Yan, He Lufeng and the rest of the team raced. The rules of the competition were a 3-person relay race. There would be a total of 3 racers, and each racer would wait at a race point. If a racer lost the first point, the second racer would take over. If the racer didn't lose the first point, he could continue running until the end of the race. There would be a total of 3 points, and the first team to score 2 points would win the race. Lin Yan had chosen the first position, so she would be facing Storm's captain, Wu Yong. Lin Yan had gotten ready, and was sitting in the driver's seat. Lin Yan's appearance attracted a lot of attention. After all, Lin Yan wasn't just a racer who worked for the He family. That Lin Yan. I heard that she defeated WW? Ha ha ha. How could you believe that? There's no way such a competition could be faked. Let's see how good Lin Yan is. Lin Yan forced herself to portray the role of Yeva. I don't know how she managed to get the role, but I reckon she has no choice but to give up. Anyway, it doesn't matter anymore. As Lin Yan stepped onto the track, the audience continued to discuss among themselves. However, Lin Yan, who was sitting in the driver's seat, couldn't care less about their mocking remarks. She couldn't hear them. Wu Yong and Lin Yan's cars moved at the same time. The silver car and the red car dashed forward. At that moment, all eyes were on the 2 cars. Lin Yan really knows how to race? Wu Yong used to be a racer. She knows how to race. How is that possible? Lin Yan contemplated this for some time, before she decided to slow down. If she hadn't gone easy on them, the rest of the team wouldn't have had a chance. The competition would have ended quickly, and Pei Yutong's team would have been eliminated. As Lin Yan slowed down, Wu Yong's red car took the lead and left Lin Yan in the dust. In the red racing car, Wu Yong glanced at the rearview mirror. Shortly after, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly as a look of disdain surfaced in his eyes. How could a pretty face like her deceive Pei Yutong into thinking that she was an expert racer? Moreover, he even wanted her to be merciful? This was probably the best joke she had heard this year. Lin Yan sighed helplessly as she sat in the driver's seat. She had done all she could. How much effort had she put in for that brat? She had never seen such a troublemaker before. She had gone easy on them, and allowed Storm to lead by 1 point. However, if Li Tao and He Lufeng had won, she wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. She had done everything she could. Chapter 652. In Lin Yan's opinion, even if Pei Yutong's team won this race, it wouldn't matter much. To the He family team, it would be good enough if they could win a race like this. Li Tao snorted disdainfully when he saw that Lin Yan had lost. All the reporters' eyes were riveted on Lin Yan's car, which had lost the race. Lin Yan drove back to the starting point and got out of the driver's seat as though nothing had happened. In the VIP seats, Qi Xiaoyuan scratched his head in confusion. Boss had lost. How could she have lost? Although Wu Yong was good, he had been as weak as a baby in front of Lin Yan. Storm! Qi Xiaoyuan snapped out of his daze and fell into deep thought. He knew a little about Storm's boss. He had attended the imposter's private dinner party, and had called Lin Yan daddy. F***CK. Qi Xiaoyuan was taken aback. Was boss rigging the competition? She had deliberately allowed Storm to win. Storm had already lost 2 races. If they lost all 3 races, they would be eliminated immediately. They wouldn't even be qualified. Lin Yan seemed to be on good terms with Storm's boss. It was possible that she had deliberately lost. This woman is weird. Before Qi Xiaoyuan could mull over this, Wei Shufeng interjected. What's wrong? Qi Xiaoyuan asked. It seems like my assumptions weren't correct, Wei Shufeng replied softly. I thought that Lin Yan wouldn't be chosen. Even if she was chosen, she would find an excuse not to compete. However, I was wrong. Lin Yan isn't that shameless. Actually, if Lin Yan were to refuse to compete, she wouldn't be able to maintain her image either. She has no choice but to give up. Qi Xiaoyuan sighed heavily. He wanted to say something, but he swallowed his words in the end. After all, Lin Yan had indeed lost to Li Tao during the competition between the He family team and Storm team. Of course, Qi Xiaoyuan had merely guessed that Lin Yan had deliberately lost. He didn't have any proof. He couldn't figure out the truth either. In the preparation area, Mo Shuyan was dumbfounded when he saw that Lin Yan had lost to Wu Yong. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Mo Shuyan had never imagined that Lin Yan, who had defeated WW, would lose to Storm's Wu Yong in such an important competition. In the arena, there was not much suspense. Li Tao also lost to Wu Yong. There was still a certain gap between the strength of both sides. Storm only had 2 members left, and the He family team had already lost 2 members. He Lufeng was the only one left. Damn, it can't be. Storm's captain is that strong. When it was He Lufeng's turn, he broke out in a cold sweat. Even Lin Yan had been defeated. Wasn't it a joke for him to go up against Wu Yong? Finally, after a few seconds, He Lufeng couldn't even touch the exhaust from Wu Yong's car. In the end, Storm ended the race with a score of 3:00. There was no suspense in the race. It was a crushing victory. After the He family team's defeat, the number of people watching the live stream reached its peak. Most of the netizens were cursing Lin Yan and jeering at the He family team. End of this chapter. Chapter 653. At the same time, many netizens seized this opportunity to protest and boycott Lin Yan's role in YVB. How could a contestant who couldn't even beat an amateur team be qualified to play a legendary role like Yeva? This was an insult to the movie and to Yeva herself. Eat my fart. Didn't you say that Lin Yan defeated WW? Open your eyes and look. This is Lin Yan's true ability. Even the Storm team, which was almost eliminated, could defeat her. What right do you have to be so fierce? You must be joking. Her victory over WW was just a performance. She was putting on an act the entire time. If you want Lin Yan to perform as well as she did in a real competition, I will live stream myself in a manure pit. Shiya's heart. Lin Yan get lost. Whether Shiya's team qualifies to participate in the ranking competition depends on my Shiya. Lin Yan returned to the venue as though nothing had happened. Lin Yan, what can you do? Li Tao glared at Lin Yan coldly. I don't expect you to beat Wu Yong. All you have to do is hold him off for 15 seconds. Storm's second contestant will have to compete. If you can't even hold on for 15 seconds, how can you beat WW? Why are you calling for scrambled eggs and tomatoes? He Lufeng glanced at Li Tao. How many seconds did you last? Do you have 15 seconds? You can't even do it yourself. And you still have the face? Huh? Li Tao grinned. I can't. But I didn't say that I beat WW. Miss Lin Yan defeated WW before, yet she lost to an amateur team. Isn't that interesting? Shut up. My eardrums are about to explode. Mo Shuyan hissed coldly. Captain, this is our best chance. Storm has lost 2 rounds. If we win this time, we will have won 2 rounds in a row, and Storm will be eliminated. One of the team members said. This can't be blamed on Li Tao. If any of our team members went up, even if it was against Wu Yong, we would be able to drag it out until the next member of the Storm team goes up. In the entire Storm team, only Wu Yong has some ability. Yeah, I can't believe that Miss Lin Yan couldn't even last that long. I'm a straightforward person, so my words might not be pleasant to the ears. I hope Miss Lin won't mind. In my opinion, Miss Lin shouldn't have entered the arena as a member. Otherwise, we might not have lost this match against the Storm Battle team. Although Mo Shuyan wanted to speak up for Lin Yan, they were speaking the truth. Indeed, Lin Yan had played a major role in their defeat. However, Lin Yan couldn't be bothered to explain herself. Other than Mo Shuyan, it was impossible for anyone else to hold out against Wu Yong until Storm's second player arrived. "Captain, let's replace Miss Lin." One of the team members looked at Mo Shuyan with a frown. "That's right, Captain. We aren't targeting Miss Lin, but her abilities are indeed limited. If she gets picked again, we won't stand a chance at all. All of you shut up." Mo Shuyan was a little annoyed. "If you keep this up, I'll slap you to death." Everyone fell silent at Mo Shuyan's outburst. End of chapter. Chapter 654. Team K2. Please get ready for the next race. Team Windchaser, please get ready. As the two teams were chosen, the crowd erupted into a frenzy. Although Team Windchaser had been defeated by Team Lightning, everyone had witnessed its abilities. As for K2, it was one of the teams under K1. It was a highly qualified team, and had the only female captain of K1 Sukai. Because of Sukai's participation, K2, which was just an advanced team, would be able to compete with Team Windchaser if Sukai was chosen. Under the intense attention of the audience and the media, both Team Windchaser and Team K2 drew their respective team captains. Sukai's lips curled into a smirk as she glanced at Lin Yan, who was seated nearby. Her eyes gleamed with contempt. She had never imagined that someone like Lin Yan would have the guts to follow the He family team to this competition. It was a pity that she wouldn't get the chance to educate Lin Yan personally. Sukai hadn't forgotten how arrogant and haughty she had been at the imposter's private dinner. "Miss Sukai, as the only female captain of K1, did you join K2 because you wanted to have a better competition?" The official media interviewed Sukai. "Yeah, I was lucky. At least I got the chance to compete. I'm looking forward to competing with Windchaser." Sukai chuckled softly. "Miss Sukai, do you have any thoughts on this competition?" Sukai chuckled. "It's cruel, isn't it? I watched the He family team's competition and felt that it was a pity." "A pity?" "Yeah." Sukai nodded. "Miss Lin Yan and I are the only two female racers in this competition. We all know that Miss Lin Yan won against WW, yet she lost to a team like Storm. Isn't it a pity?" Sukai's words had a hidden meaning to them. Everyone began to whisper among themselves. The official livestream room was abuzz. "Actually, it's strange that WW lost to Miss Lin Yan. We all saw that Miss Lin Yan is just an ordinary racer. Besides, there has been a lot of controversy over Miss Lin Yan's victory over WW. After witnessing Miss Lin Yan's defeat at Storm's hands, I believe everyone knows what is going on." The reporter chuckled. Sukai chuckled. "It's a pity. If Lin Yan had lasted for 15 seconds, she might have had a chance to win. However, Lin Yan has destroyed that hope. As a female racer, she has to be down to earth and train hard. She shouldn't let her imagination run wild. Don't you think so?" "Thank you, Miss Sukai. Sorry for wasting your time. Miss Sukai, please bring us an exciting competition." The reporter grinned. Although Sukai didn't explicitly state what she meant, anyone who wasn't a fool would understand the meaning behind her words. Pei Yutong was indignant. Did this woman get kicked in the head by a donkey? What does she mean by "it's a pity that she lost to Storm"? Did Storm kill your father or your mother? Is there a deep hatred between us? Is she using us as a negative example? Do we deserve to be at the bottom? End of this chapter. Chapter 655. Pei Yutong glared viciously at Sukai. "I hope they lose to Windchaser. Windchaser charge. Beat that shameless B*****. The corners of Pei Yutong's lips curled up into a smile. His father was indeed his father. He doted on him too much. He had saved Storm's team from the brink of collapse. Soon, the competition between K2 and Windchaser commenced. Sukai was up against the captain of Windchaser, and both of them raced across the track. However, 27 seconds into the race, Windchaser's captain's car was already in the lead. Sukai frowned deeply. Although Windchaser's captain had lost to Lightning, he was still very strong. 43 seconds into the race, Windchaser's captain and Sukai reached the finishing line at the same time. To Sukai's surprise, Windchaser's captain's car made a diagonal drift and sped across the finish line first. What? Many spectators stood up in shock. Wasn't this the technique that Yeva had used in the past? A diagonal drift at the finishing line? Sukai's eyes turned gloomy. Windchaser's captain opened the car door and glanced at Sukai. You should watch more of Yeva's videos. It would be good if you could learn some tricks from her. F***CK. Windchaser's captain is one of Yeva's most loyal fans. He watches Yeva's videos every day. How did he manage to figure it out? Compared to Yeva's original technique, it's still very different. However, Sukai was caught off guard. It's too cunning. Before long, the competition between K2 and Windchaser came to an end. Windchaser had won 3 o'clock. They had defeated K2 and achieved an absolute victory. Team K2's loss wasn't a loss. Team Windchaser is still very strong. After all, they are a first-rate team, and all their members are first-rate. Team K2 only has Sukai. Sukai is also very strong. I can only say that she is slightly weaker than Windchaser's captain. However, the competition was indeed exciting. The next few competitions weren't as exciting as Windchaser and K2. The sky had already turned dark. Currently, there was only one match left before Group C's competition. After the last match, Group B's battle would begin tomorrow. On the preparation stage, Emo Shiyan felt that something was off. There was only one match left. Wait. Hilifeng was shocked. We still have one less match to play. Which teams haven't finished? Emo Shiyan asked. I don't think so. Alright. There's still the Lightning team. Hilifeng pondered for a moment. There was a dead silence after Hilifeng said that. Lightning battle team. A moment later, everyone from the He family team gasped in shock. Does that mean we'll be competing against Lightning in the next race? It should be. F***CK. What kind of joke is this? Lightning was able to easily defeat Windchaser and K2. You want us to face Lightning? He's just giving us free points. Lightning is the king of Group C. The next match is about to begin. Lightning He family, please get ready. Lightning's team members are Jiang Tianxing, Li Hong, and Ji Chong. The He family team members are Emo Shuyan, Hilifeng, and Lin Yan. Chapter 656. You're lucky to have picked the captain. One of the team members chuckled softly at Emo Shuyan. Emo Shuyan glared at his team member. Lucky my ass. Why don't you take a look at who our team is? It's the Lightning team. Emo Shuyan's lungs were about to explode. He had been picked to compete against the strongest team in Category C, Lightning. How could he be considered lucky? This was bad luck. Emo Shuyan swore that he didn't want to compete at all. Why did I have to be picked? Why is it still me? Hilifeng wanted to cry, but no tears came out. How could he be part of all 3 races? 3 races? Moreover, it would have been fine if he was up against another team. But this time, he was up against the strongest team in Group C, the Lightning team. He would definitely be beaten black and blue. In fact, the Lightning battle team probably wouldn't even treat him as a human. After a while, Emo Shuyan sighed helplessly and said, Forget it. At least we won a match and won't be eliminated. Miss Lin Yan, don't feel pressured. Just drive as you please. Anyway, we won't be able to beat Lightning. One of the team members smiled kindly at Lin Yan. Lin Yan nodded and grinned. Okay, I'll try my best. This was the last race of Category C. so all the cameras were focused on the He family team and Lightning. When the two teams collided, even the commentator felt a little awkward. He didn't know where to start. In the eyes of the onlookers, there was no suspense at all. The He family team was going to be crushed by the Lightning team, no matter how they looked at it. The He family team was like a boxer who had just started learning how to box, while Lightning was the world champion, who had dominated the boxing arena for a long time. This was even more brutal than Storm and Whirlwind. The commentator said, "Today is the last race of Category C, and the He family team is unlucky to be matched against Lightning. However, I believe everyone is familiar with Mo Shuyan from the He family team. I heard that he joined the He family team recently and became their captain. Not only is he a member, but he is also an investor. Actually, if Mr. Mo Shuyan has too much money, he could invest in me." Everyone burst into laughter at the commentator's joke. To them, Mo Shuyan was indeed a lunatic for investing in the He family team. The commentator added, "There's another member who I'm sure you're not familiar with. She's Miss Lin Yan of the He family team. She's also one of the two women competing in this competition. Unfortunately, because of Miss Lin Yan, the He family team lost to Storm, which was the weakest team in Category C." Qi Xiaoyuan looked excited. "Lin Yan is competing again." Wei Shufeng glanced at Qi Xiaoyuan. "It doesn't matter who goes up against the Lightning team. Pfft. Who knows, Lin Yan might even lead the He family team to victory." Qi Xiaoyuan pursed his lips. "I know a good neurosurgeon. Do you need me to introduce you?" asked Wei Shufeng. Qi Xiaoyuan. Very quickly, the He family team and the Lightning team entered at the same time. Mo Shuyan and Lightning's captain would be the first to compete. Chapter 657. If Mo Shuyan lost to the captain of the Lightning team, He Lufeng, who was the second contestant, would compete immediately. If He Lufeng lost, it would be Lin Yan's turn. However, based on the current situation, Mo Shuyan wouldn't be able to hold on for long, let alone He Lufeng. With a wave of the flag, Mo Shuyan and Lightning's captain started driving their vehicles at the same time. In the first 20 seconds, Mo Shuyan had managed to overtake Lightning's captain. However, 20 seconds later, Mo Shuyan's car was overtaken and Lightning's captain took the lead. The audience erupted in cheers and applause. No one had expected that the He family team would perform so well against Lightning. In the racing car, Mo Shuyan focused his attention on the car that was right in front of him. His brows furrowed slightly. His strength had indeed declined greatly. He hadn't gone through any proper training recently. Otherwise, he might really stand a chance. I tried my best. When the captain of Lightning reached the finish line, Mo Shuyan stopped the car and sighed helplessly. Given his current condition, it would be too difficult for him to face Lightning's captain. Even though Mo Shuyan had lost the first point, the crowd applauded him. F***CK. It's my turn. He Lufeng broke out in a cold sweat when he saw the captain of the Lightning team rushing over. He stepped on the accelerator in a fluster. He Lufeng, who was too nervous, veered to the right and crashed into Lightning's captain's car. F***CK. He Lufeng hurriedly turned the steering wheel. Lightning's captain's car had sped off into the distance. Seconds later, He Lufeng was nowhere to be seen. He Lufeng sat in the driver's seat in a daze. Should he continue racing? Lightning's captain had an absolute lead of 2 o'clock, so he continued racing. It wasn't time for the other two members to race. Lin Yan sat in the driver's seat, ready to go. Lin Yan glanced at the rearview mirror when she heard the sound of a car's engine. When Lightning's captain dashed towards her, Lin Yan put on her helmet slowly. Whoosh! The moment Lightning's captain's car crossed the finish line, Lin Yan's car flapped its wings and sped forward like a dragon swinging its tail. Wow, it's like a runaway old horse, Pei Yutong said excitedly. Wu Yong laughed coldly and said, Boss, this woman doesn't have any strength at all. Pei Yutong glanced at Wu Yong from the corner of his eyes. Awesome. Although he said so, he felt disdain in his heart. What was he pretending to be? If it wasn't for his father giving him face, would Wu Yong even think of winning? Lin Yan wasn't driving very fast, but she was still ahead of Lightning's captain. Every time the captain of Lightning tried to overtake Lin Yan's car, Lin Yan seemed to be able to predict his movements. She would make a sharp turn and block his path, preventing him from overtaking her. Lin Yan glanced at Lightning's captain through the rearview mirror. The corners of her mouth curled into a smile as she deliberately swerved to the right, giving him a chance to overtake her. In the blink of an eye, Lightning's captain had overtaken Lin Yan. Lin Yan, who was sitting behind them, grinned. It seemed like if she wanted to secure the role of Yeva and prevent Legend from being controversial, she had to show off her skills for the sake of the production team. Chapter 658. As Lightning's captain overtook her, the corners of Lin Yan's mouth curled into a faint smile. The last track ahead of them was slanted to the right. If they had been racing in a straight line, they wouldn't have been the fastest. To Lin Yan, this was the best arena. Lightning's captain's car sped to the right as well. He was trying his best to reach his maximum speed. This last curved track was the perfect place to showcase a racer's skill and attention to detail. Lightning's captain's attention was on full display, and he sped up in an instant. The arena was filled with cheers. In fact, many of the audience members had already stood up to cheer for the captain of the Lightning battle team. Naturally, they weren't cheering for him to overtake a team like the He family team. They were cheering for him to make it through the last curve. No one paid any attention to Lin Yan. They had forgotten about this competition. Everyone's eyes were on the car that Lightning's captain was driving. I didn't realize that the third track was a curve, Wei Shufeng whispered to Qi Xiaoyuan. The captain of the Lightning team ran the entire course in 42 seconds. I wonder if he can break his own record this time. Wei Shufeng glanced at Qi Xiaoyuan. Break his own record? Qi Xiaoyuan was taken aback. Big brother, this is a competition. How can he break a record? A competition? Wei Shufeng chuckled contemptuously. That depends on who the opponent is. I believe that everyone, including the captain of the Lightning team, doesn't view the He family team or Lin Yan as an opponent. I think that he merely sees Lin Yan as an obstacle on the track. Although Wei Shufeng's words weren't pleasant to the ear, they were the truth. The audience had assumed that Lin Yan was merely an obstacle for Lightning's captain. The commentator said, Captain Lightning has reached the second half of the curve in Zone C in just 20 seconds. His previous record was 42 seconds. The track is 2,290 meters long, and this track is 2,310 meters long. If he can finish in 42 seconds or less, he will have broken his own record. Before she could continue, Lin Yan's silver car began to drift at a speed that was almost indiscernible to the naked eye. Everyone watched in disbelief as sparks flew from the back tires of the silver car. In a matter of seconds, Lin Yan's silver car had caught up with Lightning's captain's car. She was following closely behind. At this moment, Lightning's leader saw the silver car following them through the rearview mirror. He frowned. Without any hesitation, Lightning's captain steered his car back onto the straight line and blocked Lin Yan's path. This woman, the leader of the Lightning squad, was taken aback. He could not understand what was going on. Was this the strength that a beginner team member should have? This woman actually lost to the Storm team. At this moment, the captain of the Lightning battle team was shocked. This technique was something that even he could not do, let alone use in a real battle. Even if it was an exhibition match, he would not be able to do it. Chapter 659. The only thing the captain could do now was to change his direction and block Lin Yan's car. As long as he did that, Lin Yan's car wouldn't be able to overtake him. Can you stop it? The corners of Lin Yan's mouth curled into a smile. She swerved to the right and stepped on the emergency brake. As she did so, she swerved to the left. It was as though she was descending from the heavens. The friction of the silver car had reached its limit. Sparks flew, and the silver car seemed to be engulfed in flames. Whoosh! It sounded like a beast's roar. Everyone watched in disbelief as the silver car moved from the right to the left. It was as though time and space had been frozen. No one knew what had happened. Lin Yan's car had transcended the limits of everyone's understanding. The spectators aside, even the high-level professional racers who were present were dumbfounded by what they saw, their eyes filled with shock. How was it possible for a car traveling at high speed to be on the right 1 second, and then move to the left in the next? It was as though time and space had been frozen, as though some mysterious force had moved Lin Yan's car. Impossible! Lightning's captain's eyes were filled with shock. How had this woman done that? Regardless of whether he won or lost, he had to interrogate Lin Yan after the competition. How had she managed to do that? Lightning's captain's car was nothing in the eyes of the silver car, as it overtook him from the left. Lightning's captain's car was still on the right. He hadn't even had time to react. The moment Lin Yan overtook Lightning's captain, the score between the He family team and Lightning went from 2 to 2-1. After Lightning's captain was defeated, another racer took over and drove alongside Lin Yan's car. In less than 10 seconds, the silver car disappeared without a trace, leaving only the second member of the Lightning team in a daze. He looked just like He Lufeng had been. F***ck. What kind of monster is this woman? When Lin Yan crossed the second finish line, the third racer started his car. However, after another 10 seconds or so, he could no longer see the silver car. At this moment, the originally noisy arena had completely quietened down. There was dead silence in the audience seats. Everyone looked at the silver car that was like a ghost, and their hearts began to beat faster. Was that a human driving it? Was he driving a car or performing a magic trick? Qi Xiaoyuan glanced sideways at Wei Shifeng. Wei Shifeng had already stood up. The disdainful smirk on his face had completely frozen. Wei Shifeng had no idea what had happened. Lin Yan's silver car was ordinary and incomparable to Lightning's. He had no idea how Lin Yan had managed to do it. To Wei Shifeng, everything that had just happened wasn't a competition. He was performing a magic trick on the track. Not to mention, there was no way any team would throw the race in this kind of situation. Even if they did throw the race, even if it was just a performance, who could perform this kind of racing technique? Chapter 660. The silver car on the track had reached the pinnacle of perfection, be it in terms of control, skills, or even details. At this moment, the whole place fell into a dead silence. No one knew what was going on. The silver car was like a god that had descended from the heavens, announcing to the world that it had absolute control over the racetrack. Her control over the racetrack was unshakable. Not even God could do it. It was as though she had been reborn from the ashes. The silver car came to a halt at the finish line. A lady in a silver uniform stepped out of the driver's seat, her silver helmet gleaming with a dazzling light. Bang! The lady slammed the door shut and scanned the crowd. At this moment, all eyes were on the girl beside her. It was as though they were looking at a brand new era. The lady stood rooted to the ground, and time seemed to have stopped. Everyone fell into a momentary silence. A second later, a loud roar rang out from behind. The last member of the Lightning team had caught up. However, Lin Yan's car was still parked at the finish line. She hadn't entered the finish line. The judge stammered, "Hold on. Lin Yan's car didn't reach the finish line? What is she trying to do?" Is it because of arrogance and conceit that ruined the victory of this match? The last racer of the Lightning squad had a gleeful look in his eyes. Lin Yan had already gotten out of the car. Given the speed of the car, it would be too late for her to reach the finish line. A human couldn't possibly be that fast, unless the lady could teleport. It was hard to predict. The lady scanned the crowd before she retracted her gaze. Everyone watched in disbelief as she bowed to the racetrack. As she bowed, the silver car behind her slid forward automatically, just as the last member of Lightning was about to overtake Lin Yan and cross the finish line. The silver car moved slowly and crossed the finish line. At this moment, the entire place fell into silence once again. How is that possible? The captain of the Lightning team, who was also a professional racer in Group C, had a look of deep shock in his eyes. Was it magic? Or was it magic? Meanwhile, at the He family team, Mo Xian stared at Lin Yan in disbelief. What kind of racing technique was that? What kind of confidence did she have? Being able to control everything within a millisecond. All uncertain changes in the arena were within his control. Mo Xian swore that he had never seen a racer like Lin Yan in all the years he had been a professional racer. She was like a demon king. It was strange and dreamlike. It was like a combination of racing and magic. Lin Yan, on the other hand, was like an ancient sorcerer who was announcing the start of her era. Today, at this very moment, was the beginning of another era. It belonged to an era of one person, an era of a group of people. The end of one legend was the beginning of another. As the unpiloted silver car slowly reached the finish line, the third member of the Lightning team was completely dumbfounded. His hope had been nothing more than a joke. However, he had taken it seriously. He had assumed that Lin Yan would pay the price for her arrogance. She would pay a terrible price for disrespecting the competition. In the end, he had merely been Lin Yan's show. No, to be precise, Lightning had merely been a foil to Lin Yan's performance. End of chapter. Chapter 661. Lightning had once been a legendary team in the country. Perhaps they weren't as good as they had been in the past, but they were still as capable as ever. There were countless opponents, big and small. There were dark horse teams that had stepped on the skeletons of the powerhouses of the various major teams. There were ancient teams that had once dominated the arena and were unrivaled. There were also new teams that had just emerged but had terrifying strength. Team Lightning had fought against every single team before. Every scene, every bit of it. They had cried, laughed, won and lost. They had been crushed by powerful opponents and sent out of the racetrack. However, none of them could compare to the humiliation they had suffered today. This wasn't just the difference between Lin Yan and Lightning. It was also the beginning of Lin Yan's declaration of dominance. Lightning had become an insignificant obstacle on the track. This woman had humiliated them like never before. Hatred, anger, shock, and fear rose in the hearts of every member of Lightning. Lightning's name had once been engraved in the history of racing in the country. It was a legend that had never been erased. However, Lin Yan had used their legend to announce her era and her legend. All the members of Lightning gritted their teeth and clenched their fists. They were indignant. However, they had no reason or excuse. Lightning's captain and two other outstanding members had been selected to compete. However, they had been crushed by Lin Yan from the He family team. She had crushed every single member of their team. The champion of Category C had been utterly defeated. There was no reason or excuse. The He family team, which was the weakest team in Category C, had become the new champion. The controversial Lin Yan had become the savior of the He family team. She had single-handedly pushed the He family team to the top of Category C. In the arena, after a long period of silence, deafening cheers greeted everyone. No matter what their impression of Lin Yan had been, no matter what kind of person she was. At this moment, This woman and this scene would be forever immortalized on the track. She had personally broken the legendary era of lightning and forged the He family team's spectacular comeback. No matter what, this race was destined to go down in the annals of the country's racing industry. It would become an undisputed classic. Qi Xiaoyuan, who was seated among the VIPs, raised his hand and waved it in front of Wei Shufeng's eyes. Wei Shufeng's expression was complicated, as though his mind had gone blank. How could this be? Wei Shufeng muttered under his breath. Poor child. Accept reality. Is it that hard to admit that someone else is better? Qi Xiaoyuan sighed heavily. I have something to say. Amidst the cheers, Su Kai of the K2 team walked up to the stage and chatted with a few staff members. I suspect that there's something wrong with Lin Yan of the He family team, Su Kai said bluntly. We should check her car. Su Kai was puzzled by Lin Yan's silver car. The car had been parked at the finish line, and there was no one in it. Why had it driven to the finish line? Lightning's captain had blocked Lin Yan's car, so that she wouldn't have a chance to overtake him. However, the silver car had moved from the right to the left. This didn't make sense. Sister Yan, I want to be your passenger. End of this chapter. Chapter 662. Just as Su Kai had said, these 2 points were indeed inexplicable. At the very least, they had exceeded the limits of an ordinary person's understanding. They had never seen anything like this before, so it was natural for them to be skeptical about something they had never seen before. As soon as Su Kai finished speaking, the cheers gradually died down. Everyone had some kind of doubt in their hearts. Perhaps there should be a reasonable explanation for some things. Just like how Lin Yan had done these 2 points on the track. The commentator said, Miss Su Kai, I believe that all of us are puzzled and incredulous. I can tell you that I have never seen such a technique before. However, I can tell you that there is absolutely nothing wrong with Miss Lin Yan and her car. If you still have doubts, let us reveal the secret of Miss Lin Yan's magic. Please look at the screen. As soon as the commentator's voice fell, everyone in the arena turned to look at the huge screen that had been switched on. Vroom! The sound of a car's engine roared through the screen. This is Miss Lin Yan's first move. To ensure fairness, every car has been fitted with 14 recording devices, including the inside and outside of the car, as well as 2 drones. Let's see how Miss Lin Yan maneuvered her car from the right to the left. As soon as the commentator finished speaking, the screen changed. There were 2 videos on the screen. The first one was showing the situation inside the car. Lin Yan, who was fully geared up, stepped on the accelerator and swerved to the left. At the same time, she released the accelerator and swerved 45 degrees to the left. On the screen below, it was a drone that recorded the entire scene. In an instant, the wheels of Lin Yan's silver car had exploded. Due to inertia, the entire car had shifted to the left. The sudden brake had caused the tires to explode, so the car had moved horizontally. From a visual perspective, it looked like the silver car had shifted from the right to the left. Lightning's captain had been caught off guard, so he had been overtaken easily. After the first video, there was a momentary silence. Then the stadium erupted into deafening cheers. Lin Yan's name would never fade away. So, that's how it is. The leader of Lightning looked at the big screen and fell into deep thought. No one had ever used such a method to overtake other cars on the track. He didn't dare to say that no one in the world had ever thought of it or used it before. In his memory, at least in the Chinese circle, he had never seen it before. This time, the leader of Lightning was convinced. This man, for the first time, looked directly at a woman. There was not the slightest bit of humiliation or unwillingness. His eyes were filled with joy and respect. If there were more strong racers in the Chinese racing industry, There would be a place for them on the international stage. His vision wasn't limited to just one place. As a member of the racing industry in the country, he hoped that the racing industry would become better and stronger, regardless of whether it was Lightning or the He family team. Perhaps one day, the Chinese racing team would step onto the world stage. As a part of it, he would also feel a great honor. I wish you better and better. Those who liked You Sheng I Have You Sweet and Warm, please bookmark it. You Sheng I Have You Sweet and Warm was the fastest trending bar to update. Chapter 663. F***CK. Daddy is awesome. Daddy is mighty. Daddy is the best in the universe. Pei Yutong stared at the screen excitedly. His mucus was almost dripping from his nose. Wu Yong, who was standing next to him, was flabbergasted. That woman was a monster. She had single-handedly propelled a useless team, like the He family team, to the top of Group C. She had defeated Lightning. She was the champion of Group C. Wu Yong's heart was pounding. How had he defeated that woman? Based on Lin Yan's demon-like performance, Wu Yong knew very well that he wouldn't be able to defeat her. Absolutely not. Even if this woman closed her eyes, he wouldn't stand a chance of winning. How? How could she be so strong? Wu Yong stared at Pei Yutong in shock. Pei Yutong had told Lin Yan to show mercy if they met Storm. Everything that had happened earlier replayed in Wu Yong's mind. At this moment, Wu Yong finally realized exactly how ignorant and foolish he was. It was even to the extent that he'd never doubted that this woman was a complete idiot. And defeating her was as easy as crushing an ant. Now, all that was left on Wu Yong's face was shame and indescribable shock. Everyone in the He family team was dumbfounded. No one dared to make a sound after watching the video on the screen. Even He Lufeng was dumbfounded. He had never doubted his cousin's ability. However, He Lufeng had never known that she would be this terrifying. She was like the first demon queen of the racing industry. Is that really Xiaoyan? He Dingquan couldn't believe his eyes. The He family team members glanced at each other, especially Li Tao. His face was flushed red with shock. Who said that my cousin is a good-looking but useless vase, who doesn't know anything about racing? Oh yeah. I remember that Captain Mo joined the He family team because my cousin made a deal with him. Am I right? He Lufeng's eyes darted to Li Tao and the others. Li Tao and the rest turned even redder when they heard He Lufeng. They instinctively lowered their heads. The commentator replied, I don't know what everyone is thinking, but as the commentator I'm stunned. Alright, let's continue watching Miss Lin Yan's magic, and how she managed to cross the finish line. As the commentator finished speaking, the second video played on the big screen. Lin Yan stepped on the brakes and got out of the car. The commentator replied, Has anyone realized something? I believe someone has. That's right. Miss Lin didn't pull the handbrake. The commentator said, The finish line is downhill. What are the consequences of leaving the car without the handbrake? It was a landslide. That's why there's no one driving the car. And it automatically drives to the finish line. The control and calculation of this racetrack is amazing. At this moment, the audience burst into deafening applause. Su Kai's face was so gloomy that it seemed as if it could drip water. How could that woman be so strong? Su Kai glanced at Lin Yan, who was walking over slowly. She walked closer to Lin Yan and said, Don't be arrogant. Even if you're good, you have to abide by the rules on the track. Don't be unruly. Lin Yan glanced at Su Kai and grinned. How many races have you raced before? How dare you talk to me about the rules of the track? Su Kai hissed fiercely. You will admit your mistake sooner or later. Lin Yan sneered coldly. It's a pity that no one taught me how to admit my mistake. Su Kai's eyes glinted fiercely. She was about to speak when Lin Yan gestured for her to keep quiet. She smiled at Su Kai and said, A dog that bites doesn't bark. She was implying that if she wanted to bite her, she should shut up. Those who liked You Shung I Have You Sweet and Warm, please bookmark it. You Shung I Have You Sweet and Warm was the most popular bar. Chapter 664. Su Kai's eyes gleamed coldly as she watched Lin Yin leave. There were rules in this competition. If Lin Yin wanted to make a name for herself, she would have to pay an unimaginable price. The audience cheered even louder as they watched Lin Yin walk away from the track. Meanwhile, in the official live stream, the originally endless rhythm had now disappeared without a trace. At the last moment of the competition, all the netizens who had been cursing Lin Yin were in disbelief. 12 young masters of Temple Street quipped. Are you kidding? Was Lin Yin the one who drove the car? Are you sure? Is it fake? Northwest Flowers quipped. It must be fake. Lin Yin wasn't the driver. Even if she was, lightning must have gone easy on her. Keyboard Warrior's last account quipped. Are you telling me that this competition is fake? Have your brains been eaten by zombies? Or have the officials' brains been eaten by zombies? Given your brain capacity, it must have been hard for you to register an account to watch the live stream. Lin Yin said. Although I'm disgusted by Lin Yin, it's ridiculous for her to claim that the competition was rigged. You can slander her, but you have to provide convincing evidence. Who doesn't know that the Lightning team is a veteran team that is rich and powerful? Lin Yin is nothing to them. Do you really think that Lightning would fix the competition just because of her? Is there something wrong with your brains? Lin Yan's character is terrible and disgusting. Why is there no money in my wallet? I can't believe that Lin Yan's racing skills are so terrifying. I always thought that she had purposely created an image for the sake of Yeva's character. What an eye-opener. Please, keyboard warriors, stop disgusting us. It's impossible for anyone to rig the competition. Even if Lightning deliberately went easy on her, can you replicate Lin Yan's maneuvers? Even if it was just a performance, it wouldn't be so exaggerated. Didn't you hear that the commentator said that she was a great magician? Bad-tempered brother quipped. Bunch of idiots. If you don't know anything about racing, get out of the live stream. Fake competition? Do you know anything about racing? Was Lin Yan's control of the track fake? Was her control of the timing fake? He had relied entirely on his own strength, and had almost shown off to the heavens. A bunch of professional haters. Don't come to our racing fan circle to disgust us. You mother****. You're ruining my mood. Not long after, the live broadcast room was polarized. Racing fans and entertainment fans were cursing at each other. Even passers-by who were watching the show joined in. At the venue, Lin Yin removed her helmet as she walked into the He family's arena. Boss, have some tea. Mo Shuyan scurried over to Lin Yin and handed her a bottle of water. Boss, smoke. Mo Shuyan whipped out a cigarette and handed it to Lin Yin. Lin Yin rolled her eyes at him. I won't. Mo Shuyan put on a fawning smile. Will it be fine? I'll teach you. Lin Yin was speechless. Was he out of his mind? Boss goddess, you're too awesome. I knew you were strong, but I didn't expect you to be this strong. You're too ruthless, you're a ruthless person. That's awesome. Mo Shuyan gave her a thumbs up. Lin Yin replied calmly, sit down. It's a basic move. Chapter 665. Although Mo Shuyan had never raced against top teams in his career, he had raced against many top teams. However, he had never met a racer who could control the track as well as Lin Yin did. Initially, Mo Shuyan had assumed that Lin Yin had been lucky to beat WW. However, after watching Lin Yan's match with Lightning, He realized that he had underestimated Lin Yan. Her ability to control the track was frightening. What was more frightening was Lin Yan's creativity. From the beginning to the end, Lin Yan had seemed relaxed and casual. She hadn't given it her all. Instead, she had been able to perform some sort of magic on the track. Sister Yan. One of the members of the He family glanced at Lin Yan awkwardly. Sister Yan, we were blind and ignorant. However, if you hadn't participated in the competition, no one would have believed that you were that strong. It's ridiculous. Sister Yan, you can't blame us. You even lost to Storm. Another team member chimed in softly. At the mention of Storm, Mo Shuyan looked puzzled. He couldn't understand what had happened. Mo Shuyan had been dumbfounded when Lin Yan had lost to Storm. Lin Yan, who had defeated WW, had lost to Storm. Sister Yan, was the match between you and Storm rigged? He Lufeng asked in shock. In such a competition, if there was a rigged match and the officials found out, the consequences would be unimaginable. Rigged? Lin Yan glanced at He Lufeng and replied, of course not. Then why did you lose to Storm? Asked Mo Shuyan curiously. I was in a bad mood, so I couldn't run, replied Lin Yan. Mo Shuyan was speechless. What a strange reason. Oh yeah, the competition in Category C has ended, right? Lin Yan asked Mo Shuyan. Yeah, it's over. Our last match was against Lightning, replied Mo Shuyan. The remaining two groups had nothing to do with Group C. The competition in Group C had already ended, so the He family team's ranking system had been completed. As for how they were going to be ranked, they would have to wait for the officials to make a decision. Regardless, Lin Yan had achieved her goal. At the very least, the He family team wouldn't lack investments in the near future. The biggest problem for the He family team had probably been solved. At the very least, Lin Yan could heave a sigh of relief. Goddess, did you know that we've won the first place in Group C? At the very least, we can choose a high-level team. Mo Shuyan exclaimed excitedly. A high-level team was indeed Mo Shuyan's goal when he had first joined the He family team. However, Mo Shuyan had originally planned to use many years to accomplish this goal. Mo Shuyan had never imagined that Lin Yan would take only one day. What a pity. One of the team members sighed. If we had been a high-level team, we would have been able to go even higher this time. Unfortunately, we are just a beginner team, so we can only go as high as a high-level team. We can't go beyond that. Mo Shuyan glanced at his team members. Just a second ago, we were worried about whether we would be eliminated. But now, we feel that it's a pity to set such a high level. We shouldn't be too greedy. We should take things step by step. Chapter 666. Mo Shuyan's words rendered his team members speechless. Indeed, that was the case. Not too long ago, they had been worried that the He family team would be eliminated. Now they were indignant that the He family team had been designated as a top team. Mo Shuyan turned to Lin Yan and grinned. Goddess, we can change our team's name because of the reorganization. I don't think He family team sounds good. He Dinkuan strode forward and chuckled softly. It's an old name. Indeed, we can change it. What do you intend to change it to? Asked Lin Yan curiously. Xiaoyan, why don't you come up with a new name? This will represent a new beginning for the He family team. He Dinkuan grinned at Lin Yan. Before this, He Dinkuan had never imagined that Lin Yan would be so good at racing. When Lin Yan had defeated WW, He Dinkuan had thought that there was something fishy going on. However, after her clash with Lightning today, He Dinkuan had realized that Lin Yan's abilities were indeed formidable. The reason why WW had lost to Lin Yan wasn't because of some shady deal. Rather, it was because Lin Yan's ability was too inferior. Of course, He Dinkuan had no idea why Lin Yan was so adept at racing and controlling the track. However, he was certain that it was because of Lin Yan that the He family team had been able to win the championship. Furthermore, They had become the top team in Category C. This was an unshakable position. After this competition, the He family team's future would only get better and better. They wouldn't have to worry about funding anymore. They wouldn't have to worry about the team being disbanded at any moment. Lin Yan had relied on her unimaginable racing skills to revive the He family team. Hence, Lin Yan represented the He family team and represented a new beginning. She should be the one to decide the name of the He family team. Yes, Sister Yan. You should decide. Without you, the consequences would be unimaginable. We didn't do anything at all. Sister Yan carried the He family team on her shoulders and led them to clinch first place in Category C. Sister Yan has to be the one to bestow a new name to us. Sister Yan, I'll be your idol from now on. You'll be my dog. One of the team members gazed at Lin Yan excitedly. His eyes gleamed with unconcealed admiration. What did you say? Lin Yan stared blankly at the team member. Bah! The team member slapped himself hard. I was wrong. From now on, Sister Yan, you're my idol. I'll be your dog. I'll bite whoever you want me to bite. I won't believe other people's nonsense anymore. Lin Yan was speechless. Could he have some integrity? That's right. Sister Yan, you have no idea what the haters are saying about you. Even we believe them. Your uncle and cousin treated us to a meal and slandered you. These people are disgusting. Our parents didn't teach them well. He Dinkuan was speechless. The team member who wanted to be a dog stammered. Boss, that's not what I meant. Let me explain. Let's call it polar light. Suddenly, Lin Yan's eyes twinkled as she spoke softly. Chapter 667. The car was like a ray of starlight that couldn't be captured in the starry sky. It possessed a speed that surpassed everything, and was like a dream. Many people yearned for it and chased after it. This light was like an eternal lamp that would never be extinguished. It was gorgeous and colorful, and anyone who saw it would be mesmerized by it. How many people had died while chasing after the light? How many people had joined in wave after wave? They worked hard and struggled only for the sake of chasing after that wisp of light that was like the moon reflected in the water. They could see it, but they couldn't touch it. However, its magical power had never dissipated. Lin Yan didn't want to chase after that ray of light. I am that eternal and inextinguishable ray of light. Wherever I am, I will be the peak. If I don't want to chase after the light, I will be the light. The Aurora team? That's a good name. He Lufeng glanced at Lin Yan and said hastily, This name suits my temperament. Mo Shuyan furrowed his brows and glanced at He Lufeng. Have some shame. How am I shameless? He Lufeng was indignant. Aren't you wind-chasing general? Mo Shuyan sneered coldly. Wind-chasing general? Many of the team members glanced at each other. Yeah, He Lufeng's username is wind-chasing general. You should be wind-chasing general instead of Aurora. Mo Shuyan sneered coldly. Haha. Captain, He Lufeng's username is wind-chasing general. That's too old-fashioned. That's a username from 20 years ago. Wind-chasing general? I'm cold-blooded boy. The member who wanted to be a dog guffawed. Mo Shuyan's expression turned cold the moment he heard his teammates' words. Many of the team members had Mo Shuyan's WeChat account. They knew that Mo Shuyan's username was cold-blooded boy, so no one dared to speak to him. Captain, He Lufeng is really lowly. Why isn't he called cold-blooded boy? He can be lowly to the extreme. The member who wanted to be a dog guffawed. Mo Shuyan glared at the member coldly and hissed, I'm called cold-blooded boy. The member was speechless. Dog, you have offended too many people today. So your mouth shut. He Lufeng grinned. Dog player. Who the hell are you calling a dog player? Before He Lufeng could respond, the lackey said solemnly, Please call me Sister Yan's exclusive lackey. He Lufeng was speechless. Lin Yan was speechless. Lin Yan glanced at Mo Shuyan. What kind of people had he recruited? Sister Yan. Suddenly Li Tao, who had been silent all this while, turned to Lin Yan. What happened? Lin Yan glanced at Li Tao. Sister Yan, I want to apologize for what I said to you. I was too naive. After reading the news online and listening to your uncle and cousin's slander, I believed them. I really didn't expect you to be so strong. From now on, I'm no longer a fan of Captain Mo Shuyan. I swear that from now on, other than Yeva, you will be my only fan. If anyone dares to spread rumors about you or scold you, I will scold them back. 3 consecutive qualities. He Lufeng was puzzled. Li Tao glanced at He Lufeng. Search for it online. I don't want to insult Sister Yan's ears. Lin Yan grinned. You're a good kid since you know you're in the wrong. Li Tao was speechless. Mo Shuyan replied. If you want to be a fan of her, so be it. Why did you stop being my fan? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.